Boom, my people, my people, my people. Coach Sean here back with my broskies from another Moskies. That's my brothers from another mother. To my right, no, damn, right. You got my broski from the University of Washington, defensive guru for show, Jake Merrill. Coach JM is here. You know what I'm saying? To my below me, you got my broski, as you already know, ski. You know what I'm saying? Former coach, former player, just like my brother Mel, and his name from the CSN network, and that is Coach Cinedor Hines, aka Coach Smook. You already
What's
know.
up? What's
And
up?
to
What's
my
up?
diagonal right, you got the best debater in college football mind, if you will. Definitely somebody that we all call and ask what the hell's going on, Ty. You know what I'm saying? You got Ty Hayes. You know what I'm saying? From Around the Table Sports. Thank you guys for coming, man. I appreciate you. I had to go get these guys because I got a great respect for all these guys. My brother Coach Jay wasn't available. Had to go get these guys, man. I love all their takes. I feel good with these guys on because I know they know what they're talking about. Bringing to you today, man, we're talking Kane Wommack and how his defense translates to Alabama football. I want to know. You guys have been hitting me, asking me questions. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go get three other people that's smarter than me and put them on here and let them talk Alabama football. My homeboy, Nipsey Hussle, said, everybody around me is much smarter than me. That's why
Mm,
I do well. And I took
mm-hmm,
the page from that. You know what I mean?
mm.
If I'm
Uh,
the smartest one, we got a damn problem, right? So, starting off with none other than the man himself, CSN Network, Coach Smook. Coach, I need to ask you a quick question.
mm-hmm.
I need to find out because the people are asking me, and I need to go get some people that really understand it and can break it down for them. My first question to you is, Coach, they want to know, how does the 4-2-5 defense, how in the world, how does that translate from South Alabama and Kane Wommack to here at the University of Alabama?
First of all, man, thank you for having me on, fellas. Glad to see y'all again, Jake, Ty, bro, Sean. Y'all already know what time it is.
Yes, sir.
But to answer your question, man, and to kind of be like, kind of just like give you an overall direct answer, nothing's changing. We've seen the nickel be ran out of different personnel because that's all it is the nickel. It's just a different personnel version of what we know as the 3-4 or the what Coach Sabin ran at a lot of last year, the 2-4-5, where you only have true defensive linemen out there and you got four linebackers out there. You really got edges playing true end and being able to be versatile and drop in coverage or be specific pass rush specific, whatever the assignment is. Not much is changing, but a lot of the dynamics in the front, as far as the front, that's what we're going to see done differently. It won't be a lot of heavy gap containment, gap scheme. You will still have those play calls because you just can't be one dimensional, right? You got a lot of athletic guys in the defensive line room. I think we're 11 deep, and I think we're going to see a deep rotation of that. But this defense really depends on athletic linebackers, guys that can get in space and cover. Look at our linebacker room. Probably top 3, top 4 best. I mean, top to bottom. From, I don't care, you talking about freshmen, true freshmen, all the way up to your 5th year senior. Probably the top 5 most quality rooms. So, and then the back end, it makes it easier for the back end. A lot of space to kind of account for, but a lot of read and react, match, pass off, a lot of ISO, bump and run. It's going to translate easily from, you look at the caliber of players you have. Look at what you have at South Alabama and look how effective it was there and the type of offenses they went against. You're talking about a conference that has a lot of air raid offenses in it, and you bring it over here to Alabama and you got the makeup of what you need in the SEC to be successful, skill sets, and you allowing them to play and run around and play free. I think that's how it easily, in a simple sense, that's how it translates to Alabama.
It's freaking awesome, man. That's freaking awesome. I love hearing that because a lot of people got questions, man. A lot of people don't really understand the likeness, I guess I should say, and they think it's gonna be like this huge change. Jake, I wanted to get you in here, man. I wanted to ask you, what exactly is the difference, man, between to the blind eye, I guess I would say, with this vision coverage versus what we used to do, matching on everything?
100%. And that's a great question. I think the biggest thing when it comes down to this vision coverage, right, is this zone drop kind of read. All right,
Facts.
where you set up into a position where you can make a play on multiple different routes within the route tree. All right. If you caught us earlier today, we talked about this a little bit, but Ty brought up a point of Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
And Coach, you did too, regarding Travis Hunter over at Colorado. And when he does play cornerback, right, they put him in a man-to-man, but really what he's doing is his own coverage. He's doing his own drop coverage. He's having a vision coverage, right, with his own drop read. And he's setting himself up, and he naturally does this from that standpoint. And what we're about to see our young cornerbacks do, and now our cornerbacks who have transferred in as well, is they'll put themselves into positions as they get used to identifying the correct position on the field. That is a very key aspect in not getting stuck, watching the backfield,
Thanks.
But our biggest thing is when you look at the match coverage that Coach Sabin ran, it can be difficult at times to identify quickly where you need to match. And that's where
smaller
people
windows.
struggle. That's right. And if you've heard me talk about it before, I've talked about the OODA loop, right? And that's your ability to make decisions very quickly. It's a training, right? And it was developed for fighter pilots. Think about that. That's a training developed for fighter pilots. They have to make decisions very, very fast, very important decisions. That's basically what we're looking at from defensive backs, right? Those are our fighter pilots. It's a very fast game back there. And in match, you have a very small window, as Coach Smook just said, to make a decision. Now, in vision coverage, if you get to a correct position on that field in the zone drop read, now you can use your athletic ability and speed, which Alabama has a lot of. Okay, lot of speed, a lot of athletic ability. These kids can use their natural God-given talents that they were recruited for to play at a very high level. I'm not worried. Maybe youth from a few little things, right? Things that you'll learn and you'll pick up on, little errors you'll make, and then you'll correct. But I'm confident in the coaches that we have with Hitchler, with Coach Linguist, even with Wommack and the way he calls this defense. And at the same time, I should bring up the fact that you still have some people in the background that we're not necessarily aware of. I should say one person in particular is Chuck Merrill. Chuck Merrill came from Washington. Now, everyone goes, Washington's defense was not that good. Agreed. Washington had a rough time. They ran a similar concept in a 4-2-5. But I'll say this, and I've just brought it up with these guys before we jumped on, right? Real quickly here, is Bill Belichick's son, Steve Belichick, is now the defensive coordinator at Washington. The defense he's running is a 4-2-5. He's running a very similar defense to Wommack. Now, Wommack's, I think, transitions more and meshes more with Sabin's concept, though. And I think we'll see that. You guys will see the transition. It will be smoother because it's easier to pick up. But at the same time, you're going to see concepts that are pulled away from Sabin's great defenses that are going to allow these guys to be the best they can be.
Thank you. That was freaking awesome. Thank you guys, man. To me, those two things really, really explain the difference and the similarities. Right. But I got to ask Ty, man, I got to get my brother Ty in here, man. Ty, I have a lot of friends on a lot of other fan bases, man. Guys that really know the game, guys that's hitting me with hard facts and debating me on whether we going to be good, bad. What would you say, Ty, to the guy from Georgia that's saying, y'all not going to be able to stop us running the ball? Like, how do I debate him? How do I tell him from our personnel to their personnel? Like, how do I win a debate with this guy telling me that we're not going to be successful?
Well, it started off, Coach, with one of your phrases that you have coined that I have adopted. Every time I say it, I certainly give credit where it's due. Truth is in the details, and the details matter. Because, listen, Coach Smook said this earlier. We're coming from a scheme that more or less this defense has gotten used to nickel. Now, the 4-2-5 is a little bit different than nickel. It is a variation of a nickel, but there are multiple different variations of nickel. You're talking your 3-3-5s, you're talking your 4-2-5s. But in this 4-2-5, I've heard this a lot on my channel. Everywhere I've gone, the question is, can you stop the run? I'm worried about stopping the run. There's this preconceived notion. Whenever you hear nickel, instantly people are like, we're not going to be able to stop the run. Coach Sean, how I would go about debating that is, let's take it back to last year. Alabama had two fantastic guys manning both sides in terms of Dallas Turner and Braswell. But this year, you're actually going to have more beef on the line. And I know most people aren't going to get that, but let's take it back a year prior. You had Dallas Turner, Will Anderson, right? Well, the reason why I bring that up is because of having two linebackers on the outside rushing. You're going to have your two interior guys, which I think is going to be Tim Keenan, Jaheim Otis now fully healthy, going back to his natural position. He can wreck it from the interior. And Tim Keenan, if he just picks up where he left off and continues his development, that guy's going to be in for a massive year. On one side, you're still going to have that quote unquote linebacker that'll be attacking the quarterback. But on the other side, gentlemen, we're talking about either a Jamarian Latham, an LT Overton, a Jordan Renaud, a Keon Keeley, since they beefed him up. So really, you're talking about having one linebacker on the pass rush side, but then you're going to have your two big nasties in the middle. And then on your other side, you're going to have more beef. You're going to have that defensive end type guy trying to stop the run. That's why I understand the question, because of this preconceived notion about nickel defenses. But in all actuality, if we dive into the details, you're going to have a bit more weight along the front of this defensive front. I think they're going to be pretty darn good in stopping the run. Like that's just from me sitting here, ways to go. But that's where I've always understood where that question comes from. But I don't necessarily agree with the question in application.
Facts, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. All facts. I was writing the points down as you were saying them, so I can hit him with that. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. Coach Smook, let me come back to you. I want to know, how do you feel these young corners? And I guess with the transfers, some corners who have a lot of snaps. How do you feel the secondary as a whole? How do you feel they're going to do on the road, though?
I think it's going to be perfect opportunity. I mean, these are some opportunistic DBs. These guys are aggressive at attacking the ball in the air. You check out all the film. The same thing that Coach Jake Merrill just alluded to about that vision react coverage. Like, go look at all the film. Go look at Sabin Brown. Go look at Mincy. Look at Dre Kirkpatrick. We talked about Dre Kirkpatrick before Sabin retired. We all had a conversation about him possibly coming in and having to learn how to play star because of his skill set. It doesn't match to be on the outside and doing all that traveling, where when you put him in the box, you're kind of putting him in a position to where he can kind of play off of bigger guys or smaller guys and react to the ball in the air. Now this scheme says all of you on the back end are basically doing that, except for my interior, my box safeties. You get what I'm saying? Your Rover, your Husky, when they walk up, they're going to have a little bit more added to their assignment. But you're talking about your perimeter, your boundary guys, and your one high general look, one high safety. And we will see some two high looks, but they're going to generally be one high match three on the back end. Like that's easy for any high school player who's played a high level of high school ball or an extensive system to come in and adjust to. You look at the talent, man. Deshaun Jones, King Mack. Go watch King Mack's film. All of his interceptions are playing that soft, that cushion coverage where one of them, he ended up taking the ball from two receivers who were in their same area. He just played in between it. And no, he didn't have underneath help. No, there was no, it didn't flow into the safety. Like, he literally was able to play off. So I think that's how it translates to these young guys, not just the young guys, but these corners in particular. I think that's where the biggest question was, honestly. How do we get coverage from these corners if this is what we're going to be doing up front? Where that's how you do it. You give them space to work with. You fade back into the air. You get to, like you said, alignment and knowing your zone, knowing your spots, dissecting routes, being able to see everything in front of you. And the small window concept, or the thought we was projecting, is like, in Sabin's system, I key him and then I flow until I see something else cross my window. Well, now I'm not keying him. I'm keying this area while I'm watching the quarterback. I can see all the receivers developing in front of me. Let me keep my 3 to 4 yard cushion. Oh, my hips opened up now. Now let me key a receiver because he's in my zone. Now I can react. You get what I'm saying? So that's how it simplifies and allows those guys to kind of fly around in my mind. And I'm more so excited to see how they do in run support, because even in this setup with the space, now the wide receivers, if I'm not having bump, you got to come and get me. You got to come and block me now. Now I get to force the issue and change the angle instead of having me hold up and then try to gap on the outside, or I don't know what the technical term is for it, but you go and jam up the receiver and you try to force him inside so you could keep your outside shoulder open so you could force the run back inside. Like, I think because of how we play in this coverage, in this scheme, I think that'll help us with those guys developing on the edge. It's just natural, fly around, play football. That's what these corners and these safeties going to be able to do in this scheme.
Boom, nail on the head right there, bro. Ty, let me come back across the formation to you. How do you feel these freshmen are going to react, the high school freshmen, all these guys that Coach Smook is talking to? How do you think they're going to react to seeing this defense? Do you think they're going to be interested in playing in it? Or do you think they're going to think it's stale and boring? Which one?
No, listen, and this is something that when I talk about this, I have to choose my words very carefully, right? Because you're coming from Nick Sabin. And there is no question that aside from being the greatest college football coach who has ever lived, easily one of the best defensive back coaches of our lifetime, no argument. But this is a guy, gentlemen, that when he was in the Big Ten, he was trying to tell them, hey, we got to change the way these secondaries are working. We can't have a glorified linebacker at safety. They're about to start throwing it over your head. They told him he was crazy. Look where we are now. Sabin foresaw this. Now, the reason why I say I have to choose my words carefully is because I don't want to just sit here and say, oh, yeah, Bama's going to be better off recruiting now that Sabin's not here, because that isn't holistically true. Guys are going to jump at the opportunity to learn from Nick Sabin. But having said that, this is a far simpler concept to get. Nick Sabin's defense, gentlemen, I talk about Denzel all the time. Good friend of mine who played safety for Gary Patterson. If you know anything about Gary Patterson, you know that's not a defense that's a walk in the park to pick up, much like Nick Sabin's. You're talking about two of the more complex defenses, as well as Georgia's, out there. You're not going to have all of those barriers to entry now whenever you're talking about this defense. And I think that's the phrase I want to use. With Sabin, unbelievable coach, GOAT, one of the greatest cornerback and defensive backs coaches ever. But it was so cerebral what he was teaching that there were these barriers to entry before you could ever even grasp it. You know, Smook, earlier, whenever Jake was talking, you held up like your windows are this big. There's a reason why under Sabin, you either saw great coverage or someone running free. Because before you can play it, before you can even react, you have to mentally go through 5 different things. And then you might look up and be like, oh, man, you and I weren't on the same page. And now he's streaking 75 yards down the field. It was either people were on him like stink on poop, or they were running free, right? Like that was it. With this defense, I think it's much friendlier from a cerebral standpoint to jump in here. And then you put in this equation, guys, that you get Damani Jackson, Deshaun Jones, Zay Mincy, Zabian Brown, Jalen Mbakwe. They get to learn behind Damani Jackson and Deshaun Jones. All of those guys are capable. We talked about this all the time, guys. I think one of the reasons Bama, for lack of a better word, was hesitant in the transfer portal wasn't from Bama's side. I don't think a lot of these guys wanted to come in and be trying to compete against these 5-star freshmen because, guys, we already know, if you're a senior and you mess up, you're getting pulled. If you're a freshman and mess up, you might be the senior looking at Coach Linguist and saying, well, how come he messed up and he didn't get pulled? Linguist is going to look at you and go, because he's a freshman. I expect him to have freshman moments. You're a senior. I don't think a lot of these guys wanted that smoke. Hats off to Deshaun Jones for standing 10 toes and saying, no, I want the smoke. I want to prove it, and I want to help these young guys develop. I think Coach Smook hit the nail on the head, but Coach Sean, to answer your question, and I'm sorry to have taken such a roundabout way, but it must be talked about like that because we don't want to just sit up here and say, oh, Bama's going to have an easier time recruiting defensive backs. You don't have Nick Sabin anymore. That was a huge reason why defensive backs came here. But you do have a system that's going to allow your defensive backs to react more than they're going to have to sit there and think, okay, what's check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Now I can start reacting. That's the major difference here. And I think some of these guys have good seasons. It's going to turn heads. Last thing I'll say, gentlemen, we saw in the All-American game, Zay Mincy got a beautiful interception playing a very analogous coverage style to what is now being asked at Alabama.
Boom, freshmen, they coming, baby. Jake, I say this question for you because I got to know this, man. Now, Deontay Lawson, Jahad Campbell, These guys were awesome, but both of them missed some time last year. Deontay Lawson missed some time, and Jahad Campbell did too. And from the spring game, Jahad missed that as well. I gotta know, because people want to know this. Are we safe? I know we got some young guys behind them, and Jeremiah Alexander and who else? Justin Jefferson, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson.
Justin Okoronkwo.
Justin Okoronkwo. Yeah, the young guy. Are you comfortable, Jake? Are you comfortable going into the season right now? Do we need another linebacker or do we not?
Great question, because I do think you look at that linebacker room and you do see a lot of depth. I mean, let's be honest. Justin Jefferson alone, a lot of people are very excited about him. I'm excited about him. Okoronkwo, this has been brought up recently, but his first snap, playing technically American in America for football was the A-Day game. Pretty, in that kid, if you look at him, man, you want to talk about a physical specimen and size, exactly, smooth speed. I mean, he's going to be very, very good given the coaches who are coaching him as well. But I think we got the good depth. Now, here's the interesting point with that. And this was just recently with Khalil Jacobs looking to come visit, right? And I think I would be okay adding someone like Jacobs. You want to know, in the end, Jacobs is a playmaker. He's been in this system. He's proven he can play in this system extremely at a high level. Is it beneficial? 100%. Is it beneficial to have depth? 100%. In the SEC, to win, you need to have depth. Okay, that's just the truth. In the end, I also think these linebackers will feed off of extremely good defensive line. You look back at Washington, those linebackers in this defensive scheme. Granted, as you said earlier, Ty, the defense can be ran certain different ways. There's so many sub packages that come out of this defense. I think Wommack is extremely skilled with this defense. He's been watching it since he was a little kid.
Yeah.
You're right. He's been preparing his whole life for a moment like this. This is almost a bigger stage than taking that head coach position at Southern Alabama. Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? And it is, because all eyes will be on him. Not only are you at Alabama, but you are now replacing, from a defensive play calling standpoint, the greatest expert in Sabin.
Facts.
It's almost you feel like the boar has pressure. Well, holy geez, look at Kane Wommack. He has to turn out a defense, and people will be pissed if it's outside the top 10. Shoot, people might be pissed if it's outside the top 5. You know what I'm saying? So you have to feel really good about making sure you have depth. I do think our depth is there. 100%. I think the guys behind there, right, with Alexander, with Jefferson, I think that it's there 100%. We're going to feel good about it. And the most beautiful part about it is, again, going back to Washington, their defense struggled. Why did they struggle? And especially against the run, running a similar defense. Why did it struggle? Because they did not have the anchors that you need to plant in the ground. When you go to battle, right, you have something in front of you to cover you. Okay, there's a reason why it's in front of you to cover you. You know, back in the olden days, right, they put up all those sticks and that fencing with spears. You had to get through that first, then get to the people. Well, guess what our spears are? Guess what our wall is? Guess what our shield is? Guess what blows everything up and creates chaos? It's that D-line. That D-line. And we have the talent at D-line that gives these linebackers the chance to be the gladiators they are. 100%. And they are going to eat. You ready to see these guys drafted in the first round within the top 15? Because guess what? That's what they're going to look for. People want these linebackers. That's what we're going to get.
Can I say one thing, bro?
Yes, sir.
Do it.
And Kane Wommack is a religiously depth abuser. He abuses his depth on that defensive line. And to know that we have, ask Curtis Perry. If you ask him and he tell you the truth, he was the number 12 guy. Curtis Perry was the number 12 guy in the rotation. Out of the 14 defensive linemen we have on that roster, he was the number 12 guy.
Wow.
So just imagine if he knew that 12 was going to be like the cap, was the one that was going to get the least amount of reps. Not saying he wasn't going to play, but the least amount of reps. just imagine what this rotation looks like in front of him. If we lose Curtis Perry because everybody in front of him was performing to the ability or to the level that they felt like they needed, Coach Roach and one. Come on now, it got to tell you something like Ja Latham, Jaheim Otis, Tim Keenan, Tim Smith, Jordan Renard. One that I'm very excited about, and I think he really going to show y'all what it's about. Hunter Osborne is going to blow some stuff up. Jeremiah Beeman, like all of these defensive linemen that can play the 1 to 3, they could play wide. Not like all of them. You can go put some of these guys on wide. You can put them on wide edge and let them just secure the edges for you. So the depth is going to be important, but this linebacker group, don't count out Sterling Dixon. This is going to be a rotational thing.
100. Sterling Dixon looks great.
To be honest, from my evaluation, Sterling Dixon is probably our best cover linebacker in the room. At this stage he's at now as a true freshman. So I just want to throw my 2 cents. I promise you, man, range. He should be playing tight end or receiver, to be honest.
Yeah, athletic. Okay.
I like that.
So
real quick, I'm going to touch on something, Coach, real quick.
No, go ahead.
Real quick, because Smook just brought this up about the rotational depth. Real quick.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go like too crazy because we could go so far into this. All you got to do is if you're a recruit and you're wondering about playing time because of all the depth in front of you, you don't even got to question it. Go look at Washington. Go look at Washington last year and watch their defense. Not even from take away the injury aspect, because there's a few injuries, especially in the secondary. But watch the rotation of the amount of rotation they have. That's how this defense stays fresh. It has to play fast. You can't play fast without depth. You need depth to play fast. Right. Everybody's going to get that chance to get in. It's beautiful because it matches the offense perfectly.
That's a fact. That's a fact, brother. That's why I got y'all on here, bro. Defensive gurus, offensive gurus, everybody. And wrapping it up, this last question for all of you. I really want to know this because I know Coach Smook has integral connections with these recruits, man. And I want to know, transcending from the linebacker to the defensive front. My question to all of you is, each of you, it's sort of a 2-part question. Will this defensive line play well in this scheme? And will the freshmen the high school guys coming into Alabama, the recruits, gravitate to it? Will this defensive line play well? And will recruits gravitate to it?
I think Alabama's defensive front might be better than it's been for a few years. Because guys,
6 years, Ty. I know you said 3 times. I say about 6 years, to be honest. Barmore's been going for a while.
Yes, and Barmore was really, that was an incredible defensive line, but that was like a one-man wrecking show.
Yes.
I've always said Barmore's footwork with his hand fighting was as good as I've seen from anybody in a while. I would watch, and I'm not meaning to make this comparison because it's such an elite one, but when I'd watch Barmore's film, it would remind me a lot of Aaron Donald, where there was no wasted movements. He'd step with his right when he'd try and break through, and as he's stepping with his right foot, his right arm is swinging over, so it's one movement. He's done 2 movements in one. Donald made a killing off of that, where I'm limiting the movements I'm making to be able to make it that much more difficult and that much quicker. But guys, so like I said, I think our first 2 on the interior are going to be Tim Keen and Jaheim Otis. Boom. The next 2 rotational is the law firm of Smith & Smith. And they would start most other colleges. But if that's your first 4 for your big nasties is Tim Keen and Jaheim Otis, and then the law firm of Smith & Smith, plus, like Coach Smook said, Hunter Osborne, Edric Hill, Jordan Renaud, Jamarian Latham, LT Overton, Keon Keeley, and that's just all from your big nasties onto your more defensive end type guy. Not to mention your pass rusher is probably, if you're asking me, hey, what's your biggest question along the defensive front? Anytime you're replacing Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, naturally. Lest we forget, gentlemen, you have former top 100 prospect in the nation, Keanu Cott. You have Quay Rustoff, 5-star. Yanze Pierre, 5-star. Noah Carter, top 100 prospect. Quindarius Robinson, very talented, right? He's been in this system. He knows this. He knows college football.
Yeah.
You got a lot of different options there. Yanze Pierre, I think, is going to be a quarterback's worst nightmare because of his first step. He's going to terrorize them. Quay Russaw, though, he's one of those guys where it's just like, however we can get you on the field quickest, that's where we're going to put you. And he can play anything. So I think that this defensive front is going to be better than we've had in a while, to be honest. And Coach, to answer the other question, people will take notice. It's going to be hard not to take notice.
Facts.
I look at it, man, and I look at the linebacker recruits, and this kind of answers the question as a whole. I look at the linebacker commits of the 25 class. You're talking about your Luke Metz. You're talking about your Miles Johnson. You're talking about your Jaden Harmon. You're talking about did I say Luke Metz, Daryl Johnson, Miles Johnson, Jaden Harmon? Like just those 4 names alone.
Abdul.
Out of modern day, right?
Merritt, top 2, right? Like,
and I'm gonna tell y'all, lost. That's Bama. I'm telling you right now, that young man right there, the scheme just fits his skill set. We just watched this film yesterday. The scheme just and I believe honestly, they will let him keep his hand in the dirt. They will continue to put some size on it, and they will let him keep his hand in the dirt because of how much power he generates out of that. But to answer your question, it is something that's attractive to these kids. One thing that this D-line made a conservative effort to do during their interviews, they did not want to open the can of worms and say, hey, we're going to be let loose this year. We ain't got to hold 3-2 gaps no more. We're going to be like, I'm telling you, Ja Latham, after that interview, he's like, bro, we're going to eat. He was like, the offense struggles every day because we literally, Coach Wommack, another thing that's going to play a key in this, and I almost skipped over it, but I'm going to say this in the fact that they're going to see the play calling style of Kane Wommack. He has probably the best group to display his, push his play calling style to the max. Pedal to the metal. If last year pressures, 68% on pressure sent for defensive snaps at South Alabama. 68% of pressure sent. That's run and pass pressures where you sent more than 3. You had, I think it was like 27% or 28%, 21% like that, where there was decisive drop back on snaps for the South Alabama. So he's not allowing guys to sit back and wait on stuff. He's going to force the issue. And with this group of talent, yes, it translates. Well, yes, it's something that they're attracted to. What does a defensive end want to do? What does a defensive tackle want to do? They want to get to the quarterback.
Facts.
I mean, linebackers, edges, what do they want to do? They want to get to what do middle linebackers want to do? They want to dissect, they want to blow stuff up, they want to hit holes. And that's what we saw in the spring game. They were jumping a lot of holes and gaps that they just didn't seem like they were used to it. The older guys, but you look at when the younger guys went in, run game was non-existent. These kids are ready to hit those gaps. That's what they're used to doing in high school. So to answer our question from even earlier, yes, this will translate. It's attractive. It's just an attractive scheme. I get to come in and I get to kind of be a robber on the back end. I get to be even on the boundary, I get to be a robber. I get to play a lot of offset. If I go ISO and got a bump and run, I'm Damani Jackson. That's what I want to do anyways. So that's awesome. But then up front, go get them. That's what it's going to be. Go get them. So I think to coincide with Top, easy, yes, is going to be attractive to the high school recruits and to the current guys on there that have been waiting for the opportunities like this.
And you guys both, with Smook and Ty, you guys wrap that up perfectly. And I'll say this is, I think, again, you take away some of the complexity or some of the more pause and wait in two-gap scheme that where you're trying to play these 2 gaps and then pause, wait, find it, and then move. Now we get back to read and react and play your 1 gap and blow shit up. I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing like playing. I love defense for one reason. I get to blow shit up, right? That's what you play defense for. You don't play defense to sit around. You play defense to go hit somebody. That's what's going to be attractive overall. Because in the end of the day, football is a game of physicality. What Wommack brings with his mindset, what he brings with his play calling style, and what you will see, as Smook just said, with the blitz packages that you are going to watch and the amount of pressure that's brought in, guys are going to be like, shit, how do we stop this? Like there's too much coming at us. And that D line, is it going to eat? 100%. There's a reason why these guys aren't saying anything. And they are going to be pissed off. Guess what? They're not even being talked about as a top 10 defensive line.
That's crazy.
But you know what? do it, please. That's better for me in the end.
True.
I would rather not be talked about. I'd rather be doubted. Right.
Yeah.
And these guys, because of that, you're going to see a lit fire. Again, going back to that linebacker group, all we do is we're setting shields, we're dropping bombs, and then we're coming in hot. All right. So you're going to see something really fun to watch. I think that's probably going to be the biggest key, right? I think our linebackers that we've seen committed already have gotten that feel just from the energy they get from, talking with Coach Williams, talking with Coach Wommack, right? But I think from the other aspects, a little bit more of these defensive backs, what they want to see, some of our D line that we want to see in committing, right? I mean, Antonio Coleman already obviously got that feel already, right?
Yeah.
But I think what you're going to see from those guys is once they get a chance to actually see the games, right, and see the way these guys perform and see the energy out there and see the rotation. Now you get stuck in the head. Now it's like, oh, that's what that is. Because I don't know how much in high school a lot of those kids, the 4.25 is ran in high school because it's a simpler concept. But it also, a lot of coaches like to stick with what's traditional, which is that 3-4. Right. And so I think once they see this and they see like, hey, I can maximize my ability, maximize my talent. And you know what that does? That gets you high in the draft.
Facts.
And you go to Bama and you wear the A, baby.
There you have it, guys. You have it. There you have it. Now you guys see why I asked these young men, could they please come on my channel? You know what I mean? So in closing, let the people know where they can find you at. Start with you, Coach Smook. Let them know where they can find you at and where can they tap in with you at.
Y'all already know, man. At Coach Smook on YouTube, on every platform, every social, it's gonna be at Coach Smook. We have relaunched the Coach Smook Network. We do the Coach Smook Morning Show Monday through Friday. We kick it off at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, 8 a.m. And we do the phone call segments, man. We get in, we talk to the fans, we get active. I have my fellas, they will be making some guest appearances on days that they're available. And we're going to continue to grow, man. So I appreciate you, Coach Sean. You already know my brother, Coach Jake, Ty, all y'all, man. Y'all know y'all my boys, man. We're going to keep rocking this thing and keep doing what we do. But that's how you find your boy, Coach Smook, on every platform. And turn on the notifications because we got some fire right now. We got some fire.
Ty.
Yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere that will give me a microphone and allow me to rant and talk about how much while I'm looking forward to the Swarm D, how much I absolutely loathe the Speed D. If you know, you know. But you can catch me at Around the Table Sports Monday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're once again doing Through the Haze. Last week, great panel. This week, everybody on this panel will be joining in, as well as Coach Jay, as well as probably Jay from Unfair Sports. Hopefully, we can get Nino back in there. I think he's doing some stuff, though, so we'll see. But, yeah, you can find me at Around the Table Sports when I'm not anywhere else.
Love it, man. Honestly, you can catch me on all these different channels. I think for me, I'm making my way back in. I'll get back on Twitter here Monday, and we'll shoot out whatever my handle is, because I got to remake one thanks to hackers and assholes. But it's all good, But here's the thing: I'll get back on. You can find me, like I said, jumping in with these guys whenever I get the opportunity and just talking football. And man, hey, you know what? I just love being on and chatting with these dudes. A lot of fun, man. Always a lot of energy, a lot of fun.
Always. And let me wrap it up by saying a big, big, big thank you, man. Thank you guys so very much, man. Ty, I appreciate you more than you know, brother. You already know my affinity for you. You know what I'm saying? Coach Smook, you already know without saying my affinity for you, my thanks for you. You know what I mean? You one of the reasons why I started even doing this stuff. I hated social media. Couldn't stand it. Didn't want no parts of it. Keep it away from me, man. I will always be indebted to you for that, man. You and Ty have really, really had an effect on me. And then you add in Jake Merrill, who comes in with the fire and pushes you to be great and knows what he's talking about and always have high energy. Man, I learned from all of you. It ain't about how long you've been doing it. It's about what you're putting out there. I'm a very difficult person to make me watch videos and all that because I just don't care about it. Every joke ain't funny to me. You know what I mean? So When I watch Coach Smook's show, I love it. When I watch Ty's show, I love it. When I watch Jake Merrill on this, I love the segment. I gotta listen. So that's why I asked you guys. Shout out to Coach J too. I'm the same way with my brother Coach J. The exact same way. I wish he could have been here today. Love him to death. Shout out to Jan 716.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys, man. I appreciate you guys for tapping in with me, for helping me out, helping the rookie out. I appreciate it. I'm always indebted to you. I'm always here for you guys. And roll tide to all of you.
Make sure y'all run them thumbs up on this video. Do not leave this video without running the thumbs up, and continue to support my brother Coach Sean. Just my humble opinion sports talk, y'all. This thing is just starting. The radio show is coming. We really gonna push this radio show. I don't know why you kind of run from it, but we gotta push the radio show. Look,
these two guys too.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, they about the radio show. They got to get on the radio, man. These radio voices they got. But yeah, support my brother, man. Don't forget to run the likes up on the channel.
Appreciate you guys, and until next time, remember, the truth will always be in the details. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.